Okay, we're going to roll right into some of our nationwide, NASCAR Nationwide Series media here for Super Weekend at the Brickyard. We're going to talk about the inaugural Indy 250 here at the Brickyard. And,
are you sure?
I am positive. Okay. I'm positive, Elliot. And who else to start that off but our NASCAR Nationwide Series points leader? He's our most recent winner. He was like Lazarus. He came out of the sick bed last week in Chicagoland and won a big race there, and he drives the number 2 One Main Financial Chevrolet. And certainly he's got Indy experience in the Sprint Cup Series. He's had 2 top 5s here in the Sprint Cup car and has had a pole here. And right now, this is obviously the inaugural series race at the Brickyard. It's also the third of 4 Dash for Cash races. You won $100,000 bonus last week at Chicago, and you're eligible again this week for another $100,000, along with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Justin Allgaier, and Michael Annette. And, earlier today they announced that the Chevrolet is going to run the Camaro next year in the Nationwide Series, so it's a big day for those folks, and also obviously a big week that you're coming off of, Elliot, and I'll quit talking and listening to you, and congratulations on the win at Chicago. But what does it mean as a competitor to come to a track like this? Like I said, I know you've raced here before, but for the series, for the Nationwide Series, to come to Indianapolis?
Well, it means a lot as a competitor. I remember the first time I came up here in 1997 to test a cup car for Diamond Ridge Motorsports. Just when you come through the tunnel of this place, it's just a different atmosphere. It's so much history here, and it's a very prestigious place to race at. So I think it's fortunate for the Nationwide Series to be able to come over here to the big track. I think it's big for Nationwide Insurance. I think it's big for NASCAR. I think it's big for the owners, the drivers. Our sponsors are ecstatic that we're over here this weekend. It's just it's a cool weekend. It's a big weekend for us, and to have us over here to be a part of everything for this weekend for the inaugural race is I really don't know any other words other than say that it's very exciting, it's big, and we're glad to be a part of it. It's just a great atmosphere of racing, whether you're an open wheel fan or whether you're a NASCAR fan. It's just a great atmosphere of racing when you come here to Indy.
We'll take questions now for Elliot. We've got a wireless mic right here. We'll start right here with David. We've got both Davids right here. If we could get them the mic and let David squared here.
David Caravella, NASCAR.com. Elliot, as Kerry mentioned, you have 3 top 10s here and a pole. I mean, have you had a good feeling about this place from the beginning? I mean, what is just, do you have a good relationship with it, or where does that come from?
From the first part of my career when I first started coming here, I think I qualified 15th here my first time here in a cup car in 1999 with the Wood Brothers, and I like this place. I've always been fast here. When I drove the 38 car here, we always qualified up front. We always showed some speed and had some good chances to win some races here. Had a flat tire in 2005, I think, running 3rd or 4th with 10 laps to go, and didn't show up the finish that we needed. In 2004, I think we were really close to winning, battling my teammate Dale Jarrett and Jeff Gordon that year. This is a place that's good to me. It's been good to me as far as speed is concerned. The last couple years of my Cup career, I didn't make many laps. I know we blew a motor before we ever took the green one year, and that wasn't very exciting to be able to have to do that. So we didn't get to race that year, and the next year we got a wreck in turn 2 on the first lap. So we didn't get to run any here for 2 years, and of course I missed it last year racing over at the little track. But I had really high hopes and very high expectations coming back this weekend to Indy.
Is all that experience translatable, or are you starting from scratch like everybody else?
You know what, David, that's a good question. People have been asking me how much is experience helping. These cars drive way different than I thought they were going to drive compared to a cup car. I've almost had to forget my lifting points and steering and all that with my cup car. But where the experience is going to help me is I know where I need to be fast at. I knew where I need to be fast at in my cup car to be fast on Sunday. Like I knew where I need to be trying to pass people and where I need to be on the racetrack. And that's what I've tried to do in my Nationwide car today in practice. The driving is different. We're on the gas way more in these Nationwide cars because we don't have much horsepower and we got a lot of drag and a lot of downforce. But like we worked on what corners I need to be good at, where I need to be good at particular parts of the racetrack where I know I need to make passes. So that experience definitely is going to help the guys that have raced here before for the race on Saturday.
Go ahead, David, and then we'll go to Chris back in the back. Go ahead, David.
David Newton, ESPN.com. Okay, forget the cameras are off and Carrie's here and just nobody else in the room. If you had your choice, would you rather run a race at Lucas Oil Raceway or here in Nationwide?
Because this is such a prestigious place, I really miss. You don't ever know how much you're going to miss some till you're not there. It killed me not to be here at the big track last year. The racing at Lucas Oil Raceway is, I think, second to none for a short track, and we all know that. And it's a great atmosphere. I wish we could race both. I wish we could come back later on and, like during the Indy 500 week, and race or something like that at the smaller track. But it's just something about this big track that just creates a different atmosphere for the driver when you come through the tunnel. Now the actual racing side by side, beating and banging, David, yes. The Lucas Oil Raceway creates better racing, side-by-side racing than the big track does. But as far as part of history, prestige, kissing the bricks, part of the big time, sharing the show with the Cup cars, it's very hard to replace that.
But, I mean, they do that in the Cup Series. I mean, does it take some of the special whatever feeling about it to bring another series in here to do that?
I don't know. If we're going to win the race, we're going to do that. I mean, this is a big race for us in our series. And Dave, my guys are jacked up for it. I mean, this is a big race to us, like we're at Daytona in February, is what my guys are looking at this race as. It's just first time here, and a lot of guys are excited about it. Never been on this property and seen the inside of these garages and the whole 9 yards. Yes, Lucas Oil Raceway creates some of the best racing I've ever seen as a fan and ever raced as a driver. But it's just hard to replace what goes on here at the big track.
Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, Elliot, how tough do you think this track is among all the tracks that Nationwide races on, with the long straights and the flat turns? I mean, some people wonder the experience level of some of the Nationwide guys that haven't been here and done this before. How tough is this going to be on them, maybe?
It's a very tough racetrack, and Austin and I have already talked about this. It's so fast, and it's such a momentum racetrack. When you have as long as straightaways as you have, sharp corners with no banking. Banking makes us drivers look good because it makes it more forgiving. The banking can catch you if you're tight or if you're loose, and you can move around on the track. Here you got to run the bottom. It's very flat, so if you overdrove the corner, the car takes off on you. There's no banking to catch you. It's a very tough, hard, momentum place to race at. And it's going to take these guys a race or two to understand what they need, especially when you throw traffic and 42 other cars out there with you. Qualifying is big, and this is random draw this weekend for us. I don't know if y'all know that or not for the Nationwide cars. It's random draw, so hopefully we draw one or two. It'll be great for me. But anyway, qualifying is going to be big for a couple different reasons. Track position, we all know it's huge here. We see it in the Cup cars. I've lived it here in the Cup cars for 12 years. It's going to be the same way in the Nationwide cars. And pit road here is very narrow for a stock car. And with the outside wall, there's no grass to run off if pit road gets clogged. You really got to have some good pit stalls selection, hopefully down towards turn one, if you're able to qualify high enough.
Let's go to Dave and then Jim. Dave and then Jim.
Dave Coleman, Milwaukee
Okay.
Journal Sentinel. Paul Menard, teammate. He's a guy. You're a guy trying to rebuild a Cup career. He's a guy who doesn't have to worry about sponsorship for the most part, and has a decent career and a big win here last year. Do you envy him? Are you jealous or?
Am I envy that he has a great Cup ride and is a contender to be a part of the chase every year? Yeah, I envy that. I think that's cool. Does Paul act like that? No. He is as down to earth as any race car driver I've ever been around, and a great teammate. We've shared a lot of information this weekend, and we share a lot of information anytime he's in a Nationwide car. But am I a driver trying to rebuild something? Yeah, damn right. I'm trying to rebuild what was taken away from me and what was torn apart from me a couple years ago, and I'm trying to do the best job I can of building a good reputation back as being a good race car driver. I have been a part of the chase. I have won some races. I have won some poles. Feel like I've done some good things, and I want to get back to that level. But as far as being envy or jealous or anything like that, do I want to be him or anything like that? No, I've been a part of the chase. I've won races. I would love to have the ride and stuff like he has now, to have that kind of chance to be able to go out there and prove what I can do. Yeah, of course. But I don't think that makes me a bad guy. I don't think it makes him a bad guy either. He's making the most of his situation, and he's winning. He won this race last year. So I think Paul Menard's doing a great job. And he's in position again with the win to be a part of the chase. Dave, we can wait if you want to take that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Give
you.
you some time.
Go ahead, Jim.
Jim Uttershaw, Observer. Going back a little bit to what Chris was asking you before, when considering from your Cup experience what it took for your team to prepare to come here for this race, as far as man and versus machine, will this be probably the toughest test that many of these all of these nationwide teams will face running this race, just because of how big the track is, how much motor is required in order to remain competitive the whole time?
Yeah, Jim, I think here, because there's no notes, a lot of nationwide teams, we understand, don't have a notebook for this place. It's maximum horsepower and maximum downforce that you need to go fast here, because like I said before, there's no banking. So your car, you're really hung out and you're really on the edge, and it's a lot of momentum to carry down these long straightaways to make up speed and time. So a lot of these nationwide guys are definitely fighting the uphill battle, nationwide teams that are coming here for the first time. This place is not forgiving at all. It's fast. The corners are sharp. You got to be on your money, I think, to run some fast laps here. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing, if you look at their speeds, it's like the top 10 or 12 are in 1 second bracket, and then it's really segregated here for the first 2 practices. And I think it's going to be like that for qualifying too, until these guys, a lot of these teams, build a notebook for the first time before they come back. This is not at all the easiest track that we race at.
It's also very tough on your equipment too.
Yes, sir. It's high RPM all the time with your engine, so some teams might not want to push the issue as much as other teams can afford to or know how to push the issue. Definitely 100%. Some guys that have more wind tunnel time know how to trim their cars out maybe a little more efficiently than others. So equipment, yeah, shows up well here at Indy because of those long straightaways.
Take this gentleman on the front row, and then we'll go back to Nate. Go ahead, sir.
It was very windy today. I saw a lot of cars getting loose off on turn 1 with that tailwind, including yours. How was it out there today?
I'm going to be honest with you, I've been coming here 12 years. I've never felt any wind in my life at Indy, the way these stands and garage and all that is. I've always told everybody this is one of the hottest places I've ever been to, because it's always so hot around the garage where we're at, but we're kind of secluded. We didn't really go outside and see. Yeah, I was loose a few times in turn 1. I'm not saying it's the wind. It might have been we were just trying different things, and you're trying to get all you can out of your race car. But the wind usually here don't really affect you one way or the other that much, just because the grandstands really block turn 1 and turn 4 a lot all the way around. It's just a very unique racetrack as compared to some other places we race at, like Atlanta, somewhere where the infield is really down in the ground. Usually makes a bigger difference.
Let's go Marty and then Nate. Go ahead, Marty.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Elliot, for quite some time, decade or so, the Nationwide Series was considered, quote, Cup light. Tons of guys came down, they raced hard, they won everything. Now, while Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano still win races down here, how would you gauge the difference in identity between the series now compared to what it's been in that past decade?
I think for the first time in a lot of years, and you guys know the stats more than I do, I think 2 and 3 or 4 years ago, no nationwide regular won a race like the whole season. No, there's not as many guys running, but I think we're almost 50-50 this year. It's like 8 to 9 or something like that. But I think there's more nationwide cars this year that are Cup affiliated, that are getting Cup help, whether it's sim program, engineering, or something, and I think that's helping. And I think the talent, this new car that NASCAR has built has put the competition a little bit closer in a little tighter box. And I think the guys are figuring out how to drive these things a little more, getting more track time. But I definitely, it's worth something to outrun Cup guys on Saturday. In all the nationwide, we all talk about it. When you run good on Saturday and beat some of these Cup guys, I didn't see Kyle Busch all day Sunday in Chicago. I felt like when we got up front, he was behind us the whole time. He's one of the best there is. You know that, and I know that. But we outrun him pretty much the whole time. That's telling us we're doing our job, not only as a team, but also as a driver. But I just think we nationwide regulars now have some really good Cup affiliated equipment, and we're able to race really hard with these guys. 4 or 5 years ago, the only Cup affiliated equipment was Cup guys driving it. really want a lot of nationwide regular guys racing those cars. I think that makes a big difference.
Let's go Nate, and then gentleman right here. Go ahead, Nate.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Elliot, you talked about what coming here means to the Nationwide Series, but maybe the flip side, the reason they brought this race here was because they were trying to inject some excitement back into this weekend. So could you talk about, like, you know, what being here maybe means for Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
Well, I hope it means a lot to them. I think it's neat. I know it's a lot of work, and I know it's a messed up schedule, a different schedule than what we're used to as NASCAR people that go every week. You guys travel every week just like I do. But I think it's neat to run in so many, you know, with the road course and with the oval. I think, to me, in today's world with ticket prices and people not able to travel, this gives them a really good bang for their buck to have this many different styles of racing and cars going on at the racetrack. I know it's a lot of work on the racetrack. I know it's a lot of work on us because the schedule's so different with Cup cars not only on the track till Saturday, and, you know, like we have like an off day tomorrow, then qualify Saturday. I know it's different, but I think it's a good idea, and I think it's neat. And I think it's big for the Speedway to have all these cars at one time. I think it's good for the fans. They can kind of come and make a weekend of it and see a lot of different forms of racing.
Got two more questions. Gentleman right there, and then we'll finish with Dustin. Go ahead.
John Bryant from Nazareth Base Cam. Elliot, you got several drivers in both series that have run Indianapolis as an Indy car. You talk to those guys?
I mean, I know them and watch them on TV. I mean, but you know, Dario Franchitti and some of those guys I met. Oh yeah, I talk to them every week. But I don't think there's no correlation from what they can learn in an Indy car that can translate to a NASCAR. It's just the driving technique and the style and the way the cars handle are just so different. And I have more track time than both those guys here. I've been coming here for 12 years, which is probably longer than they've been in some open wheel stuff. But you know, I talk to those guys every week. We're great competitors and good friends and help each other. But do I ask them about their Indy 500 experience? No, not really, because I don't think it'll help my NASCAR stuff. Did I watch it when we were sitting at Charlotte? We're getting ready for the Coca-Cola 600? Yeah, of course. We all did.
Final question, Dustin.
Dustin Long, SI.com. Elliot, can you talk about maybe the level of what you see of sportsmanship in racing, whether it's more on or off the track, and how it's changed over the years? I mean, you talked earlier. I mean, you're a guy trying to work your way up. So in one sense, you know, you've got every reason not to help, and maybe you don't do as much now as what you did, whether it's on or off the track. Can you talk about how that's what that's like in the series and how it's evolved?
I've always tried to do everything. I went to the Dale Jarrett School of Teammates, and that is do everything you can to help your teammate or help each other. I remember when I first started, you know, I went and asked Mark Martin questions all the time. I went and asked Dale Jarrett questions all the time, and they would give you an open book. This is what I'm thinking, and this is how I can help you. That's the way I do it now. I just, you know, I'm racing against Austin Dillon for the championship. We just sat there and were drawing maps on the tires. I'm trying to help him in every way I can to shorten his learning curve for this racetrack, because if he runs better and learns something, that's going to help me. He's my teammate. And I think we have that kind of sportsmanship. I do. I've gotten along with pretty much every teammate I ever had, other than a few. And I came from that.
Where's the line on the track once you're racing?
Well, I think give and take is good. And Tony Stewart was the first one that said this to me in 1999, and I think it's a great rule to live by. I'm going to race you how you race me. And he sets a great example with that week in and week out. And I think some guys, you know, have great sportsmanship and give and take, and some guys are always take. And you know that going into it. So some guys maybe you're a little bit more friendly with, or you're a little bit more give and take with than the other guy. But I honestly think sportsmanship nowadays in NASCAR is pretty good. I remember last year watching, you know, in the middle of the chase, they have practice on TV, and you'd see Kyle Busch leaning in Jimmy Johnson's window talking to him about stuff, and vice versa. So I think you see a little bit of sportsmanship going back and forth.
Elliot, thanks a lot, and certainly thanks for coming in, and good luck this weekend here at Indianapolis.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.